Yo, what's up? The long-awaited and long-delayed Tigers of Burma update finally dropped yesterday. I did a few games yesterday and quite a lot today to test it and experience all the new stuff. And the summary is the new map is amazing, it looks amazing, it plays quite well too. And it's so big that there's a lot of stuff to explore and the games basically always feel different. So yeah, great map, big win. What about all of this new special content? Well, we're gonna take a look now. The first thing that came with the update was quite the ugly winter Christmas inspired background, which I instantly changed. And for everyone you playing the game on PC, you can also change it by using the link that I showed you in a community post yesterday. So you can get this cool autumn nature. I guess it's just a basic forest nature background. Very cool looking, works for everything, and also doesn't have any bugs, except for that your soldiers look a bit stiff, but yeah, whatever. Still great. So yeah, that's the first thing. Now let's look at all the stuff that changed. We're also going to talk shortly about the event, though it's nothing too special. So the new Burma map, absolutely insane. Absolutely amazing. And finally a new map. Finally a new map, because the game, among any other thing, needs maps the most. Absolutely. Like, you could also argue, yeah, better animations, because the animations look quite weak. And definitely not like 2024. They look more like 24. Yeah, so, yeah, but new maps always a big win, a big plus. Then, also, by the way, it makes it the third great map in a row. Because we had in mid-year, we had Regev, which is one of the best maps in the game. I was surprised myself, because basically all maps that were introduced before were either bad or mid. But Regev is a peak map. Then Mountain Pass, I would also say peak map. Especially thanks to the weather effects we see on both maps. And now, Burma, obviously great, especially since a completely new battlefield, a new campaign. Alright, so what are the new weapons? Well, the Hyde assault rifle for the burgers is much stronger than I expected. It's actually so strong, it might be too strong. First of all, don't be afraid. It looks completely dark gray. And if you look into here, you see it looks like a weapon that you don't have. And at first I actually thought it's bugged. Because I didn't think a weapon could look so, well, strange, but yeah, it actually does. Now, what about this Hyde rifle? It's basically like in theory, if you look at the stats, they're a little bit worse than STG stats. But due to the insanely perfect sights, it might be the best sights in the game now, especially after the correction that it received during the test server, because before the change of the sights, it had some of the worst sights in the game, but then it was changed and now it has some of the absolutely best sights. And I can say, yeah, Mr. Hyde, very well done. You created one of the greatest weapons, certainly in the game, and I think officially the first American assault rifle. So yeah, this weapon is a big win. Finally making American assaulters really good, because the Thompson in theory is also a great weapon, even despite its bad sides. But here's the problem. Look at this damn ass slow muzzle velocity. 1/4 kilometer per second sounds fast, but it ain't. It ain't. You're gonna lose so many duels with an enemy in front of you, because his bullet literally hits you first. And the enemy bullet hitting you first means your bullet disappears from the server. Because once you're dead, everything that you shot disappears from the game due to spaghetti code or whatever. And this means, fuck, you're dead. You're gonna lose so many duels. And many people say, oh, the game is bugged or it's bad or whatever, or server connections. Yeah, well, no, it's very often due to this problem. And you're gonna constantly run into it. Another problem is, if the enemies are even something like 20-30 meters away from you, if they're running from one side to the other, you're literally gonna miss shots due to this slow muzzle velocity. And it's very bad if you always lose your first 3-4 possible hits due to that problem, giving the enemy a chance to shoot you back and kill you. So yeah, The Thompson is very fun, one of the nicest firing sounds in the game, I personally would say, but simply not strong enough for BR5. But now, thanks to the Hyde, you can actually play assaulters. Now it's actually really good, and you can either just play the Hyde alone with ammo pouches. It comes with quite the generous 90 reserve ammo. You have 4 complete magazines, which is a lot. It's more than enough to kill 2-3 enemy squads. So theoretically you don't even need ammo pouches, you can put on whatever you want. Though, if you want to play the Thompson too, because it's just so fun and looks very nice, you can just dual wield them, because this lets you play this on longer ranges, perfectly profiting from the power of the weapon, since it 2 shots on every distance, has insane precision, very good sights once again, and if enemies are close to you, well, you whip out this bad boy, and against this on short range with the fire rate and the insane damage, yeah, there's no way to survive. So yeah, then the Americans also received the Ofenrohr, which is not only extremely strong, but also very much needed against the German Tigers and King Tigers. But it comes with the problem of being very immersion breaking and just not that fun to use. Though, if you just put it on your soldiers, as I did, you just, yeah, you're gonna get used to it, and just, you can role play it by imagining that you just captured a German position or a supply hub, and you captured a bunch of Ofenrohrs, and you are now shooting them at the Germans. So yeah, that makes quite sense. Obviously extremely strong, and stronger than all the other American bazookas, which were very underpowered, especially on higher BR. Then the Japanese TE4MG. Now this is very good. Finally something for another nation, not only the Americans. Now what does this thing give you? It gives you very fun sights, and it gives you a weapon that's much stronger than the stats imply. I played it for a long time without any upgrades, and it already was very good. With the upgrades, it becomes even more reliable, because the speed reaches basically 900, which is the, well, 850 to 900 is basically the perfect fire rate, especially for machine guns, since it makes sure you kill everything in front of you without losing your bullets too quickly, and also while being controllable. You can fire this weapon without bipods, easily in bursts, even in full auto. Most shots will hit, but you still kill the squad, because the fire rate is just so fast. And it has quite a comfy recoil. And you have 69 rounds. It isn't 100, it's not even 75, but it's still enough. It's still enough to kill everyone in front of you, so yeah, really good weapon. I thought it's not needed since we already have the Type 100, but nope, it's actually really, really good. Now the Type 100 is even harder to control, I would say. So my personal, well, it depends actually. It depends. I would argue that Type 100 is actually easier to control. Though, yeah, it might be a subjective thing. Now I definitely will dual wield them. Also that you, for the big amount of ammunition you get overall. Though it makes completely sense to just play one of them, depending on which one you prefer, which one you like more, and which one you can shoot better with. Though keep in mind, the T4 machine gun has one of the best sights in the game. They look horrible at first, but you get instantly used to them, and then they're actually very nice, because they are quite transparent. They cover a lot of the screen, but you can look through it. Yeah, so much better than many people assumed. Then we get finally something for the Germans, and it's a long awaited MG42. Yes, it took the game 4 years to implement the most famous German machine gun, possibly the most famous gun of the war overall, into the game in a proper state of 100 rounds. Now, for those wondering which rounds did they have in real life, whenever it was in a position, it had over 100. Because it doesn't make sense to use this machine gun with less than 100 rounds, less than 200 rounds if you can. Obviously the weight is a problem. But if it's mounted, and the Germans called mounted light machine guns heavy machine guns, so depending on how it was used, it was called heavy. yeah, you absolutely wanted as many bullets as possible, and if it's mounted, once again, it doesn't matter how many bullets you have because the weight has no impact. But if you used it on the mobile attack, it was usually used with a 50 round drum mag. Why? Well, because 100 bullets would be too heavy. It's already heavy enough. It's already for almost 15 kilogram. Having, carrying around too much, especially controlling the recoil, is just insane. So yeah, that's why 50 round ones existed. But yeah, like we want, obviously, simply for fun alone, the 100 round version, and we finally got it. Yeah, so how does it play out? Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, because it has its famously low recoil, which is historically, well, a bit unrealistic, but, well, we take it, because it also has a nerfed fire rate. And I already explained in detail in my previous video where I played in the Mountain Pass game, the context of the fire rates, and yeah, the machine gun never had under 1200 fire rates in the German army, never. Not even for normal infantry use, and for plane use it had 1600. So yeah, like we get a nerfed fire rate, but it's okay, because playing this in normal enlisted games, you actually want the 1000. You want the nerfed fire rate, because it makes the weapon actually better. If it had more fire rate, it would all of a sudden become very hard to control. So this fire rate, together with these low recoil stats, makes it the absolutely best machine gun in the game. Absolutely best. Most fun to use. One of the best sounding. And just overall very cool. Also a big reason to play Germany now. Especially since Americans became very dominant. Since everyone is playing Americans now, due to the insane firepower additions they got, and also in order to play the new map, since you as a German sadly cannot play the new map. And we of course also receive new vehicles. First of all, the Super Pershing. Now what does that mean? It means the Americans are theoretically the strongest nation now. Objectively speaking, they're the strongest nation now, which people can thank all of the whiners who came from Fortnite to Enlisted and constantly whined about Americans being weak, which was the case, but due to the player base being, well, like 12 years old usually, and not due to the stuff the Americans have or had. But now look at how ridiculously long this barrel is. This is insane. Yeah, this is absolutely insane. Yeah, we also get this stupid fish lens effect here. Yeah, but still, this is... Okay, why is this thing so strong? Simple. It has really good armor. Really good armor. Also, it has these additional plates here with some air in between, which helps you additionally well. So yeah, really good. It's actually hard to penetrate this tank. Now, if you want to kill it easily, you want to shoot here in the right turret area, because if you confront it frontally, you can see these ammo racks, and you will penetrate with a King Tiger. I'm not sure if Tiger penetrates, but well, you shouldn't play against these. Like, you shouldn't play Tigers on BR5. It needs to be King Tigers, and then you easily one-shot the tank. If you shoot anywhere else, you oftentimes will get problems. You can also shoot these things, though then you usually just breach the tank. You destroy his breach, but you won't kill it. But, well, with the same effect, well, with the same penetration chance, you can just simply blow up the wrecks. So yeah, you see how ridiculously big these ammunitions are, these shells are. So yeah, the armor is really good. It's extremely hard to penetrate. You really need to know the weak spots. Then the cannon is insane. It one-shots the Tiger easily, unless you hit at a bad area. Now, I had a moment in a game, my first game with the Pershing, where I got stuck and I was basically slipping down a hill, and I had to shoot from the worst angle possible, and the enemy Tiger was also strangely hidden, cramped in between something, and we shot each other 4 or 5 times and no one penetrated or did any damage. So you see both tanks are very tanky and have very strong cannons, though the Super Pershing has a better cannon. Why? 2 reasons. A, it penetrates better. It has more ammunition overall. Like it will need less ammunition to deal the same amount of damage as the Tiger. So this gives you a good advantage. Or you have less shells, but you will create more impact. And most importantly, the HE shells are not bugged, because the Tiger shells are severely bugged, and oftentimes they don't explode. They just slip and fly away, or even if they explode, they don't deal damage. But these shells don't have the problem. So yes, this is absolutely strong, absolutely insane, and just a delight to play. Keep in mind, its main weakness is the weak top, so you can be easily strafed. Though, as in real life, Germany never had air dominance, this wasn't much of a problem. But in Enlisted it is, so you better be careful and keep the sky controlled. Now, why are the Americans the strongest nation now? Very simple. By far the best plane in the game, best attacker plane, one of the best fighter planes in the game, especially now with its double bomb release. Then, best to second best tank in the game. Well, the best is still the King Tiger because it's overall more well-rounded. But this is a close second. This is a very close second. Also quite easy to use. And they have the best, ironically enough, best rifle, which is even a bit better than the FG-42. They have now, together with the STG, since they're basically the same, the best assault rifle. They have some of the best machine guns, although this is the only thing they're not really that... this is the only thing they're not that far ahead. But yeah, and they have the best anti-tank grenade launcher and overall best grenade launcher in the game. So, yep, this is just the strongest nation. It's ridiculous how the Americans got buffed. And they also have one of the best map selection, which makes the nation even more favored. And they're a new player favorite. Especially the American player base loves Americans. So yeah, guess what? Americans will be possibly the most played nation soon. It usually used to be Germans, but all of these additions just make Americans highly overplayed. What does it mean though for you? Simple. If you're playing Germans at the moment, you're gonna suffer because your teams are very empty, and many sweat stacks are stacking 4 and 8 playing Americans in order to get easy wins, because they're afraid of playing Japanese or Germans now. So yeah, the games are usually very one-sided and boring. And well, if you want to suffer, you play Germans or Japanese. And the Soviets are the silent winner, because since people are avoiding Germans now, they also get indirectly, thanks to the Americans, quite easy games. Then we got a bunch of new vehicles. First of all, bikes, for the nations who didn't have them yet. What about the bikes? Well, I played them, well, for the Japanese one at least. They get a great new machine gun mounted on it. You can theoretically even shoot down planes, but here's still the problem. They are still unplayable. I proposed in a post on the forum to reduce them to BR1, where they become actually playable, since on BR2 you can have APCs, making them completely obsolete. But they weren't released, they weren't downranked to BR1 before the release. So they're still stuck. They're still stuck in BR2. Now what does it mean? Well, they're just a pain to play. They're just simply a pain to play, because they're, even if you play them perfectly, they're so easily killed. Even if you position yourself well, every little explosion effect, every little autocannon from a plane, every little grenade or HE shell from a tank will kill you. And it's just too many downsides, too much fragility, with barely any upsides. And yes, if you get a third soldier, you can put an engineer and a radio man and a driver, and then it becomes theoretically good, but all of this hassle still, after you did all of this and after you spent time building a rally and driving around and hopefully surviving, you're still just a much worse APC. You're still just worse than an APC that accomplishes the same thing but is much more tanky. Even the weakest APCs in the game are still very tanky by the way they're implemented in the game. You can completely blow it up as long as it isn't completely black-red. It still will be alive and it still will spawn. But the bikes and the APCs you might build with them are not. So yeah, the bikes are just a big, overall a big failure. Also I would say a noob trap, because new players will think, oh, they're quite good, and they will sadly very often be disappointed. Yeah, it's just a badly implemented mechanic that isn't really that great. Then what about the Shiri tank? Now here comes another sad failure, because first of all, it's the same squad as the Hori. What does it mean? You can't have two strong tanks as a Japanese. You can't even have a Shi-2 and a Hori production, because they're also in the same squad. So yeah, so you're basically forced to choose between one of the two good tanks. Okay, first problem. Second problem, is the Shiri actually good? Well, in theory, it has a high fire rate. Well, high fire rate. What does it mean? Well, not much, because the cannon is weak. It's a BR5 tank. It will compete against waves and waves of Pershings and super Pershings. And you can't even blow up a fucking heavy jumbo from BR5. Not even a jumbo from BR4. So the allegedly fast cannon is not doing anything. And this little chode cannon down below here isn't doing anything either. And by the way, don't even hassle through changing your keybinds to somehow shoot separately. This cannon doesn't matter anyway, just always fire them together. Also, you sometimes get rare random kills with it too. And if you're firing at a tank, you might hit his tracks with the little cannon. So yeah, or you might hit his underhull. So you might randomly profit. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. So yeah, the main cannon against the good tanks doesn't do anything. And against infantry, yes, you can blow up stuff, but you get bitch slapped by everything the Americans have. You get bitch slapped by the Pershings, doesn't matter which one. You get bitch slapped by BR4 jumbos, not even talking about the strong jumbo. And you get bitch slapped from the top with its 20mm armor by the American BR2 heavy machine guns on their planes. It's insanely bad. Yeah, this thing is insanely bad. And if you take into account that the opportunity cost of this tank is a Hori, which actually gives you a chance against Pershings, because you one-shot them too, yeah, especially if the Pershing player isn't really, well, doesn't really know how to fight you and tries to shoot you somewhere here, which won't do much, because, yep, you lose 2 drivers and you possibly lose your engine, but the engine blocks the shot, and all of these shells here are still safe. So as a Pershing player, you want to shoot into the turret, where you first take out 2 soldiers and then the other 2, and then the tank usually explodes as well. So yeah, the Shiri is also quite a big failure. Then the Soviets got their new big toy. Now this is a plus. This is a plus because this thing is fun. Why is it fun? Well, 6 heavy bombs are always fun. And you can drop them separately now. This thing looks like a ripe mango, by the way. It's green with a bit pale red. Now, is it even more fun than the German Junkers 188? Yes, because you can actually shoot your cannons. Yeah, you also have your tail gunner, but most importantly, you can shoot your cannons, meaning you're not dead in the air. If enemies try to harm you, you can actually shoot down enemy planes reliably. You can actually strafe the ground, and 150 shots per cannon is fine. Yeah, for an auto cannon, this is absolutely fine. So yeah, this plane is a big win. Really good plane, very fun to play. Also has better stats than the Junkers 188 regarding flying characteristics, which is which is unusual for a Soviet plane, which usually had worse flying performance. Question is it better than the IL-10, since it's the direct competition? Nope. Now here's the fun part. Even though this is like a medium bomber, the IL-10 has worse flying characteristics. And look at this horrible turn rate. Look at this horrible turn rate. So it actually could be that the 2S is better, though the IL-2 also got significantly buffed due to having 2 heavy bombs that you can drop separately, and its cannon power is just insane. You get 2 heavy autocannons, like 22 millimeters, which easily shred every enemy plane and shred everything on the ground, and even shred German tanks from the top. So yeah, I would say if you have the IL-10, you don't necessarily need to grind the new plane. But if you want something new, and if you possibly want a possible upgrade, the 2S might be the upgrade. I certainly will try it out, and I hope it's actually better, because yeah, the IL-10 is just a pain in the ass to fly, and I'd rather have a very cool and agile medium bomber. Now, what about the other news? Because there's a lot of stuff mixed in here. I'll only go over the most important things, because much of it here is fluff. First of all, what about the changes to premium and event squads? Now, this is insanely good. Why do you think that I start the video with this squad in the screen? Well, because it finally has a 6th soldier. Some people got butthurt 1.5 months ago during the sales when I did not recommend the squad. By the way, if I do not recommend, it doesn't mean do not buy. It means I don't recommend it for power level alone. In my next, likely one in next week, guide on the new sales, which will come out soon, obviously, I'll do a new type of ranking for premium squads. I'll rank them according to power and fun. And then, yeah, that's the type of ranking everyone will prefer more. And I'll rank them according to S, A, B, C, D tier to make it more fun and just visibly cooler. Because this squad with 5 soldiers was okay, but I predicted 1.5 months ago we will very likely, very soon get machine MG42s with 100 rounds. You don't necessarily want to run around or buy a very expensive squad with an MG42 with 50 bullets if you get a free MG42 with 100 bullets soon. But now that this and many other premium squads received an additional slot, and you see this upgrade here, this here, for your new soldiers, you can click on it for free, you don't need to grind anything, and then you can choose, do you want an engineer or a tank gunner. This makes a ton of squads very playable, and also very fun to play finally. Now, first question, what should you pick? Anti-tank gunners or engineers? Very easy answer, always the engineer. Simply for the fact that you always want 2 engineers in a squad if possible. And 3 engineers is also good, because it makes building much faster. You always want to have 2 engineers alive, and since usually one will die anyway, well, guess what? The anti-tank gunners aren't even that strong or much needed. I'd always rather have more engineers, especially since premium and event squads can build these things. And the faster you build them, the better. The difference between a quickly built anti-tank gun and a slower, even 1 second slower one build can be night and day. Because if you get the first shot on the enemy tank, you survive. If he gets the first shot on you, you die. Yep, it's literally a matter of seconds, sometimes even less than a second. And since anti-tank guns, for example, are the best if they're in a visible area, because it means that you also get a lot of target area, yeah, you want to be fast. Same thing for anti-air guns. If you see a plane coming, you want your 3 engineers to quickly build it. So yeah, great. An amazing change, making many squads somehow suddenly playable. Also squads that were too small. This squad used to be too small. 5 soldiers compared to 7 in the normal engineers machine gunner squad is bad. And also not having a radio man is bad. Yeah, I constantly see people not calling artillery strikes, which is bad. You always want artillery strikes active, always. The enemies never should have rest. They should constantly be artillery striked, especially if you know where an APC is or rally points are. There's nothing better than calling artillery strikes on APCs. It's a guaranteed kill, and sometimes you even kill a squad that just spawned. So yeah, really cool. Now these squads are saved. We also got some alleged customization improvements, though I didn't really see them. Like, yes, you get a better selection for the Soviets with their quilted pants. Alright, cool, but that doesn't change much. Did we get any cool new helmets with leaves? No, we didn't. Did the Americans finally get some matching stuff? Because look at this. They are still not matching, and I still can't buy perfectly matching stuff. So yeah, the customization isn't as good as I hoped for. And look at the Germans. They also don't get cool helmets. They don't. Also, they don't get a new camo pattern helmet, because you also oftentimes have problems matching their, depending on the uniform, matching the pants. You see, you can't get a helmet with this camo pattern. You always have this way too dark one. Yeah, so customizations didn't get a significant improve. Very sad. Also, for those who played yesterday, there was a bug active, and many people didn't know. I also didn't expect it to be a bug. I thought Darkflow was nice, because if you grinded these squads, they only took something like 4,000. Like, I played 2 games and I grinded all of the new MG100 upgrades. Same thing for the Americans. I played 2 games and I instantly had the Hyde rifle. Oh wait, where is it? Yeah, I instantly upgraded all of this because it only was 4,000. But now it was reverted because allegedly it was a bug, and now everything's expensive as hell again. And it took me something like 8 games to unlock the T4 machine gun. So yep. You see, that wasn't a nice move from Darkflow. They should just have kept it, because people really liked it. Also, many of the bike squads have obnoxious expensive upgrade costs, like 17,000 for level 17,000 for the first level. Yep, this is also nonsense, which wasn't corrected. But yeah, I guess if you don't want to suffer, just wait. It might be changed in the next days, because yeah, obviously people don't like it. if the bikes are promoted, but the grind costs are insanely high. Then we got some fine improvements. The Thompsons are reloading better and a bit faster now. The German scopes on Gewehr 43, FG42 and STG have a proper magnification now. Now this is good, because these weapons used to have horrible magnifications. For example, the FG42 was basically unplayable. It had an 8 times magnification, making it just a pain in the ass to play. But now, and you always wanted basically to play the Sniper MKB2, because it has a quite small magnification, and you could very comfily use it on medium and short range without being too myopic. But yeah, now you can actually see, okay, which ones are you going to combine, or which one is your one main weapon, because they don't overzoom anymore, which is good, because yeah, like 8 times magnification is basically only useful on a bolt action rifle, and only if it has insane precision, because otherwise you just harm yourself by missing every shot, especially on a full auto weapon. Okay, then some premium squad and event stuff was fixed. Good. Keep in mind, this new additional event squad slot doesn't affect all squads, and sometimes it affects a squad of one type, of the same type, but not another squad of the same type. For example, some assaulter squads go up from 5 to 6 soldiers, others don't. Most famously, 2 of the new premium squads, because there came 4 premium squads with the update. These 2 tanks, the normal Pershing with rockets, 44 MH rockets, like weak little rockets basically, but still dangerous if you get a direct hit, and a Hori prototype, which is basically a significantly weaker normal Hori, Now the only real reasons to get those are if you want to play 2 Pershings, this is the only way. Because you can't play Super Pershing and normal Pershing on 2 different squads. If you want to play 2 Horis, this is also the only way. And that's it. There's basically no other reasons to play them. I've seen this tank once, and it got instantly bitch slapped by a Pershing. It wasn't even a normal Super Pershing, I think. And I've seen the Rocket Pershing a couple of times, and it also got quickly handled. Because it just easily killed. It just easily killed, and the additional firepower isn't that good, that additionally strong with the rockets. And the main problem is, why should you play this over the Super Pershing? Exactly. Like, yeah, cool. Having both, of course, is good, but yeah, it's not that attractive for many players to buy them. What's actually a bit better are the infantry squads, which are the ones I got, since they're more useful. Now, for them, we get exactly what I talked about now. First, the Chinese BR2 squad, which is very cool because it looks Chinese and it talks Chinese. And they even use unlicensed Thompsons, so absolutely perfectly Chinese squad. Now, this squad has the problem of having just 5 soldiers. Compared to a normal soldier squad, you see it's just 5 soldiers. Why? Because under the new rule, if you already have an engineer and an anti-tank gunner, you won't get an additional soldier slot. So yeah, this squad got schlonked, making it unnecessarily weak. The only advantage it has is quite a strong weapon. This is basically the strongest SMG for the Americans on BR2. It's not the normal Thompson damage, but it has quite good sights. It has basically no recoil. It has a good fire rate. It has, well, a high deviation, which is bad on longer ranges, but yeah, it's very easy to control. If you burst it, it's quite reliable, and on short range, it's very strong. So, yep, overall an okay squad, though sadly very underpowered, especially since it's cool to play the first Chinese squad in the game. Hopefully more Chinese squads in the game, hopefully as a nation, yeah, would be very cool. But also giving the Japanese a new enemy, and the Japanese need desperately new enemies, because they could get the Soviets and the Chinese as enemy nations, making them, yeah, very fun to play. Definitely much more fun. I personally don't think the Chinese will be added anytime soon. Why? Very simple. Everyone wants Japanese versus Soviets. Makes sense. And this is the absolutely most logical next addition, because the Soviets don't have any other enemies besides Germans, and the Japanese don't have any other enemies besides burghers. Now, what is the most obvious solution? Combine them so they profit the most. Also, a new campaign for them would be really cool. Very nice, very nice. So yeah, absolutely perfect. But here comes the problem. Japanese and Soviets are the least played factions already in the game. Now, if you, and the Japanese I think are the one least played faction, if you create a Chinese faction, you will create a ton of queuing problems for the Japanese, because they will very rare, there won't be enough players to play against Soviets and against Chinese on a regular basis, meaning you either get very rarely the games against these nations. Most often the Soviets will still play against Germans, because there are more than enough German players to queue against. So you either, despite having these matchups, will get them very rarely, or you will get games where most of the teammates are bots. Yeah, so at the moment it's mathematically not possible simply to implement the Chinese faction and make it work. Only if the Japanese player base grows significantly. But it needs to grow by a lot, or the overall player base needs to grow, then this problem also would be solved. Now, yeah, that's why I expect the next big faction and map to be Manchuria and Soviets versus Japanese, but the Chinese maybe next year, or maybe 2026. So something in 1.5 years, but definitely not anytime soon. So yeah, this squad is okay. but sadly ridiculously underpowered compared to how it could be built. All it takes to make the squad viable is just give it a second engineer. Ta-da! And the squad becomes really good and fun. But here comes the actually good squad, and you see you get this eye cancer from the from not being able to give them proper uniforms. Yep. But they can get the additional engineer and tank gunner. I gave them obviously the engineer, since they only had one. They weren't even as good as the German squad, who started out with two engineers. By the way, the problem with this new rule is it doesn't give the new soldier the same weapon as the squad has. So you have to give him one of your weapons, which is obviously not the special limited event weapon. Yep, this is not fun, because you rather have a homogeneous squad where everyone has the same cool weapon, not even for power level alone, simply for style reasons. So yeah, this is a bit annoying. It's always uncomfy, though I usually just start the game with the second engineer and use this engineer for the builder. So he builds everything my main engineer places on the ground, and then I basically never have to play this engineer, unless the rest of the squad dies. So what about the squad? Is it good or not? Well, the Americans captured a bunch MG42s and tried to rebuild them, although Americanized. Now, how well did it go? Let's see. Same damage. Much slower fire rate. Yeah. Like it's 1/3 less fire rate. 1/3 less fire rate, meaning the German machine gun has 50% higher fire rate relative to the American one. For those confused, yes, this is how it works. If you go down from 1000 to 670, you lose 33% roughly. But if you go down from the smaller number to the higher, you need to add 50%. So much weaker in that regard. The recoil control is a bit better, but the recoil itself is a bit worse. So that evens out. Everything else is basically the same. So what you basically have is a weapon that's net just slower. It's slower, and you lose one of your main advantages of having a good fire rate. This weapon having 670 as a fire rate is very much reminiscent of the Browning, which is 550. So the other weapon is barely faster, and this is a problem because, well, you want the speed, but still it's quite good because it's the fastest Tech 3, or not Tech 3, but fastest machine gun the Americans get, at least it easily. It's quite cool. It looks like an MG42, and it's still strong, especially if you mount it, because you feel the recoil. Despite being slower, you feel it bigger than the German recoil, even though the stats don't imply it. So there might be some hidden stat going on, because there's still some hidden stats that are not shown here. Yeah, this thing is quite dangerous. If you build a good position, if you hide, if you mount it somewhere, I recommend putting mounting on a keybind on your mouse, so you can quickly mount during a battle. Yep, this is actually useful. So yeah, quite good, also quite fun to play. And of course you can build all of these structures here. So yeah, quite good to have this as a flexible squad. And for the end we have our December event. Now, what is so special about this? First of all, we finally have an event, which is always good. It means if you're gonna play anyway, you just get additional prizes for free while playing. Really good, always welcome. And this event, starting today and lasting until the 12th January, unlike any other events before, doesn't give you tokens or like 4 guns or whatever. No, it gives you 8 guns. It gives you 8 guns, and some of them are special that you usually couldn't get in the Tech 3. For example, the fancy BR2 Thompsons, or the fancy carbines, or the MKB42s, so rare weapons, possibly even extremely good, some of them. Yeah, so the Fedorov definitely very good, as everyone knows. So yep, good event, and the standard 20,000 battle score requirement over 2 days, which I think is not hard to get. especially not during the first week, since everyone's playing the new event now, the new maps now, and all the new stuff. It will be a bit harder towards the 23rd and 24th and so on, though if you miss out 4 days, it's completely fine because you still get the main prize. Yeah, you only need to finish 22 days in order to get all of the cool weapons. So yeah, really good. Also very few fillers. Few fillers has the advantage of you get more cool stuff, but it also means you can miss less days without missing out on the fancy stuff. But yeah, that's quite a good new event design overall. And also it's perfectly reflecting the new battle pass, which also doesn't give you gold order tokens, but gives you specific weapons, meaning people have less choice, but they will surely get all of the gold order weapons 4 times now. So yeah, it's a mix of ups and downs, of advantages and disadvantages, but overall quite fun. Alright, now that's it. This is the new update. Lots of cool stuff. My personal favorites are of course the MG42-100, which is insanely fun, insanely immersive, great historical accuracy, very great fun, and surprisingly the Hyde, because it's just very cool and strong and just fun to play. And I personally have to say the Hyde is, well, I didn't play Americans that much. I played them only for like 3 games because the games were ridiculously boring, since you always win because your teams are full of oftentimes stacks and the enemy teams are usually quite empty. That's the only problem, but overall the Hyde is very fun. So yeah, these are my two biggest wins, and of course the new map, which is the biggest win of them all. Alright, let me know what you think and how you enjoyed the update so far and what your insights are. And until soon, goodbye.